I have this memory of back when I was younger. It was around fifth grade in elementary school. I was young and naive back then, but this memory takes place the day we went to the Bronx Zoo for a field trip. It was my first time ever going to a zoo, so I was super excited. I lived in Queens then, so we took those yellow cheese buses. This memory kinda explains why flamingos are my least favorite animal, and also why I'm not quite fond of the zoo, the Bronx Zoo at least. Some of you may know this story already, so bear with me. There was this girl who I had a crush on. Her name was Leslie, if I remember correctly. She was taller than me and she had brown hair, pale skin. But I think the most prominent feature that I remember about her was her teeth. She had a gap between her front teeth. I think it's our flaws that make us interesting and endearing though. I had a crush on her because she wore the same costume that I did, unplanned, for a Halloween pizza party. It was very superficial, but I was only a kid then. We had this pretty cool Disney Fantasia costume going on. We never really interacted before that. But besides wearing similar Halloween costumes, I often remember her wearing windbreakers when the fashion trend at that time was big puffy North Face jackets. We had this matching windbreaker thing coat, which I thought was pretty cool at that time. I had a crush on her, so I wanted to spend that entire field trip with her. We sat on the yellow cheese bus together. We sat in front despite the fact that most of my friends sat in the back. When we arrived at the zoo, everything was going well. Needless to say, I was having a great time until we hit the flamingo area. I was trying to be cool, and I was running my hand on the wooden railings, when suddenly something touched my hand. It was green, mushy, and it almost looked like if it was wasabi, except it wasn't. It had this foul odor to it, which led me to assume at the time that it was flamingo excrement. Now that I'm older though, I'm not quite sure if it was flamingo feces, but rather baby vomit instead. Nonetheless, I was extremely mortified. So the thought process at that time was to hide my hand into my windbreaker and wrap the whole thing around it to contain the smell from radiating outwards. I also went to the back of the group, farthest away from her, as I didn't want her to notice. I didn't want to ask the teacher about my situation in fear of embarrassing myself further. The fact that I had gotten potential flamingo stool sample on my hand speaks for itself. Of course, we were little children back then, so I couldn't stay away from the group and find a bathroom myself. Our teacher decided when we'd take a potty break. My whole day was ruined, and I didn't get a chance to spend the rest of the field trip with her as I had planned. At the end of the trip, on my way home, I threw out that windbreaker that we had matching, which made me sad at the time. When my mom asked where it went, I lied about losing it somewhere in the zoo. She bought me one of those North Face jackets as a replacement, which made me blend in with the rest of the class. In a weird way, I felt as if I lost my identity by throwing away that jacket. It is as if I lost that small connection I had between her and I. But yeah, that's the reason why I don't like flamingos. And also, despite the multitude of field trips to the Bronx Zoo after that incident, I still hate going to that place. I guess first impressions really do matter, not just on people, but on places as well.